Hi there, this is Rob from Reason101.net, and I'm here to show you how to create a multi-band delay effects unit. And this is going to be done in Record, so let's get into it. To start off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Thor synth, and I'm going to open up the browser and just add in a quick sound. Then I'm going to create a matrix pattern sequencer. And on the matrix sequencer, I'm just going to create a bunch of notes that kind of go up the scale, just so we can test out a few of these sounds. Because when we make the delay unit, what's going to happen is the delays are going to go along different bands. So we want to see what those different bands are going to sound like. So just go all the way up, and then bring up the number of steps, and let's hear what that sounds like. Okay, pretty good. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to create an audio merger and splitter. Then we're going to create a combinator, and in the combinator we're going to create a mixer. Underneath that, we're going to create another audio merger and splitter, and then we're going to create a vocoder, and then a delay unit. Okay. A couple things we're going to do first. Let's go up here to the other spider audio merger and splitter. Let's flip the rack around, and what we're going to do is we're going to send the Thor into this splitter, and then we're going to split one going back into the Thor mix channel, and then another one going into the combi input. And what this does is it allows us to listen to the dry signal on one channel of the mixer and then the wet signal on the other channel. So two different mixer channels there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to remove the from devices, we're going to remove the master outs, and what we're going to do is we're going to take those master outs and put them back into the from devices, and the two devices are going to go down into this spider splitter here, and that splitter is going to go into the vocoder. The vocoder is then going into the delay unit, and then let's just put the delay unit output to the first channel on the mixer. Now that that's set up, what we're also going to do is flip it around again, and what we're going to do is change the vocoder to go into equalizer mode, and you'll see that we have 16 bands here. What we're going to do is we're going to take the first 4 bands of this vocoder, and that's going to be the low end bands, and we're going to send that into the delay unit, and this delay unit will put on the number of steps we'll put at 1. Now what you're going to need to do is hold down your control key and select both the vocoder and the delay unit, right click and click on duplicate devices and tracks, and do that 3 times. Okay. Now, on the second vocoder, what you're going to do is you're going to raise up the next 4 devices. What I'm doing is I'm holding down my control key, and that brings these up to the basic level, which is the default level, and we're going to bring down the first 4. On the next one, we're going to bring down the level of all these 4, and we're going to bring up the next level. Whoops. Bring up the level of these 4, the next 4 bands, and on the final one we're going to bring up, hold down your control key and bring up the last 4, or the high bands. So now you've got all the bands represented. On the first one is going to be the low bands, second one is going to be the low mid range, third one is going to be the mid high range, and then the fourth vocoder is going to be the very high range. And while we're at it, what we're going to do is we're going to bring this up to 3, the number of steps on this delay unit up to 3, and the number of this steps on this delay unit up to 5, and then the number of steps on this delay unit up to 7. And what that does is it allows you to create different delays for different bands of your signal, of your sound. Now the last thing we have to do is we have to route it. So let's flip it around, and what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to route another split of the signal going into the next vocoder, another split going into this vocoder, and another split going into this vocoder. Then you're going to have to take the outputs of all the delay units and send them to different channels in the mixer. Pretty straightforward stuff. Okay, so now the next thing I've done is I've muted this channel here, so you're not going to hear this Thor. And what you will hear is you will hear the wet signal here going through this combinator. So let's just take a listen to that and see what it looks like and what it sounds like. Okay, pretty good. Now if you look at the mixer channels here, you'll see that the signal goes, the low end is over here on this first delay, then it goes into the mid ranges here, and then it goes into the high bands here. See how it starts off over here and it ends up over here? That's essentially what you're doing when you're sending it to the different bands. And since we've set up the matrix to go from the very low end over here all the way up to the very high end, that's exactly the route that it's taking. It's going from left to right. Now, the other issue that we have when we do this is that when you send a signal through the digital delay unit, it's a mono signal. So the way to get around that is we'll create a stereo signal for our delay units. So select the first delay unit, right click and go duplicate devices and tracks, and take your right input from the first delay unit and send it to the left input on the new delay unit. Do the same thing for the right output, now goes to the left output. Okay, and what that's doing is that's going to send this over to the right channel. So essentially this is going to be your left delay unit, and then this is going to be your right delay unit. And do the same thing with the other 3 delays. Duplicate it, move over your cables, same thing on this 3rd one, and same thing on this one, the final one. Okay, let's flip it over and let's listen to it now. Okay, and now let's listen to the other signal, the dry signal. Okay, well that didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. Alright, well, regardless, you get the idea. So you've got 4 different bands here. What you can do is you can take your delay units, they don't have to be delays. You can put reverbs here, you can put phasers, you can put whatever effects units that are inside Reason. You can put any chain of units underneath these vocoders. The basic idea is to send the different bands to different effects. The other thing you can do is you can switch your vocoders over to 32 bands, and if you really want to go all out there, you can create one effects chain for each one of these 32 bands going all the way across. I think that's probably a little bit of overkill, but I think you get the idea. So that's all I have for you here, and hopefully you've enjoyed this tutorial. And that's how you create a multi-band delay effect. And I hope you can join me back at reason101.net. Thanks very much for your time.